U.S. and Iran weighed on markets today. President Trump says he will make a decision regarding whether to strike Iran over the next 10 days. Meanwhile, the U.S. has continued to build up its military presence in the Middle East. West Texas Intermediate crude futures pushed higher as a result, jumping 1.9% today to settle at $66.45 per barrel.
That is Stifel, Director of Investments, Eric Robert. Thank you. That's the Wall Street Wrap on KMOX.
We've got some clouds around this evening and overnight, but most of the rain and spot thunderstorms have gone off to our east. It's windy and it's cold. 34 for the overnight lows. Pretty good drop in temperature. Friday, partly to mostly sunny skies. Windy and 49, but feels colder. Friday night, clear. Going cloudy late night, 32. Saturday, partly sunny. Maybe a sprinkle or a snow flurry in the morning. Tough to find, 43. 38 and sunny on Sunday. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is partly cloudy right now, 65 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, the biggest issue we have is still getting into Illinois, and there's still no change in North County, unfortunately, on eastbound 270 at Riverview. Only the left lane is open. It's a solid jam back to about New Halls Ferry on eastbound 270. Of course, going through downtown, you have that roadwork eastbound 64 at 15th Street, so 64's jammed back across the Poplar, 70's jammed back onto the Measle Veterans Bridge eastbound, and 64 eastbound still slow, approaching 157, midway up the hill to 159. South 170, bumper to bumper, Ladue to 64. Westbound 64, Kings Highway out through McCausland is heavy. After that, it's really not so bad. We have a crash, so they were clearing southbound 141 at 64. Southbound 141 backs up south of Ladue. There's heavy traffic south of Helfrich into Valley Park and 13th Street down through Romaine Creek. If you're on Highway 70 westbound and eastbound, there's some slow traffic both ways at Jennings Station. Eastbound's heavy through our city, but after that, the westbound side running out through there doesn't look bad. South 270, south of 364 to Doherty Ferry, 44 down toward Gravelly, some slower stuff. Southbound 55, south of Arsenal to Bates, Butler Hill through Merrimack Bottom is busy. Next update at 5:20 from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
Hi, guys. Welcome into Thursday on Redbird Rush Hour. A lot to cover today, as always. Got a full hour of baseball talk for you, and that'll be followed by a couple more hours of baseball talk for you here on KMOX. Matt Pauley is down in Jupiter. I'm Kevin Wheeler up here in our KMOX studios, and let's just kick things off with our spring training report.
Now, a St. Louis Cardinals spring training report, sponsored by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And by Happy Roof, we always create happy endings on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
All right, so with our spring training report, usually it's just me saying to Matt Pauley, hey, buddy, what'd you see today? What'd you hear today?
Yeah, you know what? Today was kind of a quiet day. There's everybody's sort of gearing up for Saturday's Grapefruit League opener. We had the normal live BP sessions and everything today, but it was just kind of a standard day of work. No update yet on Riley O'Brien that when I was there from Oliver Marmol. They're running out of time, though, because he's not ramping up at all right now with that calf issue. So it just seems like the WBC is going to be off the table sooner than later. One thing that is interesting, Kevin, you've seen teams across baseball get into their spring training stadiums to test out the ABS system. Well, construction is still going on where the radio folks can't even get into the radio booth yet to set up all the equipment and everything because there's so much work going on.
Oh, yeah.
So the team is hopeful that they'll be able to get into the ballpark tomorrow to test out ABS and just see what it looks like, but they're not guaranteed. It's there's just a lot of work going on. I've joked around about the fact that they're redoing all the sidewalks, and you'll walk down one sidewalk 1 hour, and there'll be brand new cement that's been laid down, and you have to figure out a way to get around it.
Yeah, jump.
And then 2 hours later, that's all dry, and another area is off. So they are working very hard to get the ballpark ready come Saturday.
I love the parallel because the ballpark down there, the facility down there, is a lot like the team under construction.
Yeah.
Although I'd say that one down there is a little closer to being finished. This project with the roster is just getting started.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. The other day I was walking by and I kind of ducked into the back cargo area to see what the ballpark looked like, and the new left field seating area looks really really cool. The video boards look like they're in good shape, but there's still some work to be done, but they'll be done by Saturday. I'm very convinced of that.
Yeah, look, it's just spring training anyway, so we'll all just survive. As long as they can play the games, that's all that anybody's going to really care about. Because it's about getting the work in, right? I mean, this time up to this, the work that they're putting in is about getting ready, right? You're getting ready for this stage. And this just signals like you're moving into phase 2 of spring training. The beginning of games is just, okay, now we're not throwing pens. And yeah, there are still going to be some live BPs, going on in the backfields here and there, but they're no longer going to be the feature, right? Because when you can attest to this. I know from my memory, it was always this. It's when live BPs started is when you started to get a little bit of entertainment. And okay, this is kind of fun to watch, and it's really symbolic of what's next. And then, of course, Saturday we get to what is next, which is games where we get just a little bit of the major leaguers, and we start to get a lot more of those younger players that are going to get into those games.
Yeah, once games get started, I don't spend a lot of time on the backfields watching what's going on back there. It's much more just focused on the games, and that's good because this, Kevin. It's pretty incredible how fast things move because pitchers and catchers arrive, and it's not long that you're lamenting the fact that it's only pitchers and catchers. And then full squad guys get in there, and you get into the live BPs, and it's awesome. And then a couple days later, you're lamenting the fact that it's just guys against teammates, and you want to see someone. And then games are going to get started, and it's going to be, real dudes for the first 5 innings and then a bunch of minor league guys for the final 4 innings. And that's going to be cool for a few days. And then you're going to lament the fact that it's not, competition for major league roster spots for all 9 innings. And then it gets to that as we get towards the end of spring. So everything just moves very, very quickly.
I actually love the early spring games quite a bit because it's a really good opportunity to lay your eyes on the players you don't see very much. So yeah, you may see the regular starting lineup, out of there after, a bat or two. And your pitchers are all going to be throwing an inning, maybe 2 innings at a time early. But I like getting eyes on some of the players that aren't going to make the team. Guys that are, I obviously prefer watching the young prospects, the ones that are actual, like the Joshua Baez types this year, right? But because they're a part of the future one way or another, I'm not as excited to watch the players that are going to be like AAA depth. Like that's not who I'm talking about.
And a lot of those guys get sent back to minor league camp at some point in time. You need those at bats and you need those innings for other guys. So there's not a lot of value in having those minor league guys who don't have a shot to make the major league roster sticking around in major league camp. So it's a limited amount of time that we'll see some of those guys. Last year, for example, JJ Weatherholt got sent back to minor league camp fairly early on just because there wasn't a spot for him on the roster. So that's going to be what I am curious about is there will be some guys from minor league camp who are sometimes brought up to fill in on some, back of the inning games. Might we see a Liam Doyle appear in a big league spring training game at some point? I'm not sure.
It'd be interesting. I mean, they always have that option. That's something that people don't tend to keep in mind. They can always say to Liam Doyle, "Hey, we need 2 innings, here. So come on over and throw 2 innings." Like, that doesn't mean you will see it. I mean, it's very clear that they're treating him a bit of like a project. I'm sure that the work behind the scenes at this point matters more for him than getting into big league spring training games.
Yeah, and there's a rule. I'm going to get this partially wrong, but there is a rule. Derek Gould was explaining this to me at some point last year. When you return players to minor league camp, they are no longer eligible to appear in major league spring training games. So when you start sending guys to minor league camp, the only minor league guys that are eligible for to appear in Grapefruit League games are guys who have not been in major league camp.
So the person you sent back can't come back?
Correct.
Okay.
They can't come back in I assume if there's injuries or something, you can bring them back to me, but they have to be officially brought back to major leach camp.
Gotcha.
You can't have a guy who was in major league camp pop back into a game.
Yeah. Good point. We got, I think there are a bunch of fun topics I want to get into today. Obviously, there are a couple things. One is Mason Wynn, which I think we'll do here in a couple of minutes. Just talk about where his bat is headed. And I got a couple of names that I want to throw out as comps, Matt. I didn't tell you anything about this. I wanted to surprise you. So we'll do that coming up in a couple of minutes. And then after that, today, Fangraphs released their playoff odds. So we'll talk a bit about what that tells us, where the Cardinals are, where some other key teams are, all of that stuff. So we'll get into those a little bit later on in the show. And of course, if you guys want to talk about anything related to the Cards, feel free. Just don't do this. Weston Texas is like, management has failed STL, owners a tight ass. I mean, and by this, I don't mean criticize the team. Like, that's fine. But let's not relitigate what we spent the whole offseason talking about.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. Management did fail, but not this management group. This management group is new. They are new on the job. The previous management group did fail the organization. They essentially acknowledged it, right? I mean, I think Mo kind of said that out loud. Like, yeah, we screwed up. We didn't do this right. We fell behind, and now we got to fix it. And that's what I mean. Just don't live in the past on this. You're not wrong. It did get screwed up, but that conversation was months ago, and it's a new group running things now.
I don't think you would say the owner is a tight rear end if you came out to the facility and see all the money that has been put. I mean, it is.
Matt, the only thing that matters is the major league payroll. No, I'm teasing. Okay, I'm teasing you. Yeah, I mean, and that will matter again too, but it doesn't matter when you're rebuilding. When you're rebuilding, but you're finding players. You're not spending stupid money.
They have skimped no pennies on what they did to this facility. It is really impressive.
Very needed. All right, hang tight. We're going to get into the stuff about Mason Wynn. What's his upside offensively? We know what it's been for the first 2 years of his career as a very young major leaguer, by the way, right? He's been in the major leagues for 2 years at an age where a lot of guys have not even cracked the big leagues. So we'll talk a bit about where his offensive upside is. And I have one current player as a possible comp and then one from the past. So we'll talk about that coming up next on Redbird Rush Hour.
Create the ultimate raised bed garden with St. Louis Composting. Our premium compost and soil mixes are perfect for filling the raised beds you'll enjoy building, and even better for growing fresh, homegrown veggies. Imagine harvesting your own tomatoes, peppers, and cilantro for fresh salsa the whole family can enjoy. And with delivery right to your door, getting started has never been easier. Visit stlcompost.com to order a convenient delivery from your phone in seconds, or stop by one of our 9 locations in the St. Louis area. St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories.
Winter is tough on homes. Ice and wind often lead hidden damage you can't see from the ground. Don't wait for the first spring showers to discover a leak. Get the Happy Roofers Spring Readiness Checkup today. We perform a thorough, risk-free inspection to ensure your roof is solid. With our Spring Smile Guarantee, you get guaranteed workmanship and total peace of mind. We always deliver happy endings. Visit thehappyroofer.com or call 314-665-3001.
So I want to tell you about my friends over at St. Louis Weight Loss Injections. Not only are they my friends, I am now a client of them, and I've been thinking about this for a while. We see everything in the news about the GLP-1s, and I'd actually had some doctors say that it would make sense for me to hop on. I'm somebody who I don't sleep a whole lot. I eat okay, and I work out every day. And for whatever reason, my body just wasn't reacting to my lifestyle, and I was not losing weight. And it was a very, very frustrating thing. And I think there's probably a lot of people that are in the same boat as me. Life can be crazy. You can run out of time on stuff, but you want to get healthy. I know I'm somebody, I've got a wife, I've got 2 kids. I want to make sure I'm as healthy as possible. And going down the GLP-1 route made a lot of sense for me. And there's some people who don't like talking about it. That's why I wanted to do this and talk about what's going on. I just did my second injection this past Monday. They say generally it takes about 17 days for you to start noticing results. So I'm still a few days away from that. They say some people deal with some nausea when they start it. That was not me at all, which was great. I do know that my appetite has been way, way, way down since I've started these. So I would encourage you to go talk to them because they are fantastic. They've got a great office. You can always give them a call, 636-244-5333, 636-244-5333. Just go to their website, stlweightlossinjections.com. That's stlweightlossinjections.com. Follow my lead. If you're somebody that wants to take a few pounds off, get a little bit healthier, as St. Louis Weight Loss Injections, $199 for the first month, stlweightlossinjections.com.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
Martin Luther King was killed by an assassin's bullet tonight.
From moment to memory.
It's a strike call! A no-hitter for Gibson!
Among those voices, Charlie Brennan.
Well, we've got lots to talk about, despite our listeners' letters to the contrary.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, good news for drivers through North County. This traffic reports the service of U.S. Air Force Band of Mid-America free concerts. They just cleared the crash just like 30 seconds ago, eastbound 270 at the Chain Rocks Bridge. It's still a solid jam back through to about Halls Ferry, so it'll take a little while to thin out. If you're heading through downtown, this isn't going to change. The road work back up eastbound 64 through 15th Street. 64 is jammed back to the Poplar. 70 is jammed back to the Musial Veterans Bridge. Eastbound 64 is still slow. 157 midway up the hill to 159. 70 both ways around Jennings Station busy. We have an incident on 70, a crash eastbound before Earth City. It's jammed back to 5th Street, and westbound Gawkers are backed up coming off the 270 ramps. North 270, the right lane's bogged down at Dorset. South 270 approaching Olive de Ladue, 64 to Doherty Ferry and past 44. A few slowdowns. South 170 backs up solidly. Ladue down to 64. North 170 from Ladue up through Delmar is kind of heavy, and then a little slow at Airport Road after that. Westbound 44 through Kings Highways back up. Southbound 55, Gasconade Bates. South of Merrimack, bottom down to the Merrimack River is a little slow as well. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Don't miss the U.S. Air Force's Shades of Blue Jazz Ensemble, February 25th through March 4th. Enjoy big band swing, patriotic favorites, and more. Get free tickets and locations at afbandtix.org. That's afbandtix.org.
Now, back to the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
All right, it's Thursday on the Redbird Rush Hour. Matt Pauley is down in Jupiter. I'm Kevin Wheeler up in our spacious KMOX studios. You can see the banner behind me there. Let's talk Mason Wynn, Matt. Obviously Mason Wynn is not a question mark for this season. He's an established player. He's the Gold Glove winner. He's one of the best defensive players on the planet. The offense has been a little slow to arrive in the major leagues. It's not terrible. He's 9% below major league average for his career, so it's not terrible, but it's also not a plus, right? He's not really adding offense. He's just adding tremendous defense, and the offense is all right. It's not killing you, but he's only played through his age 23 season, so he's coming up on age 24. To give that a comp, what's JJ Weatherholt? 22.
Yes,
he hadn't even appeared in the big leagues yet, and again, it's not like Wynn is a what do you call it? An established, veteran guy, right? And actually, JJ's 23. So they're only a year apart. And JJ's just arriving, and Wynn's already been up for parts of 3 seasons. Just saying this to illustrate how young Mason Wynn is. And that's, sometimes for a young player, the offense is the last thing to come along. So I was trying to do some digging, Matt. I had a thought about it the other day. And I did a little bit of homework on it just to find some players that might be guys that could give us an idea of what might still be possible for Wynn, because we ultimately don't know. We don't know if he's going to end up being an elite defender and just a so-so hitter, or if he's going to be an elite defender and then be a pretty good hitter. I think there's range for him to be a good hitter. He's a very good athlete. He's strong. Yeah. He's not some guy who, can't generate some bat speed. He doesn't really, because he swings at too many pitches, but he's gotten better at that. And that's an area where I think we can see continued improvement. But I want to give you these comps, and I want to see what you think about it. Okay. The current player that I think is an interesting player, and until last year was a below average offensive player. If you look at his major league career before 2025, and this is still an anonymous player, he had played 400 games and was 16% below major league average offensively during those years, but was considered a top shelf defender, even though he doesn't have a Gold Glove. And that's Geraldo Perdomo. Okay. So Perdomo, for his first 3+ major league seasons, was a well below average offensive player.
Yes.
I mean, like, again, 16% below average combined for those years coming into last year. And then last year had his breakout season where he hit 290. He was 36% above average. He was fourth in the MVP voting in the National League, and obviously won a Silver Slugger. And that's from a guy who prior to that was below average, but he hit 290, hit 20 bombs, drove in 100, stole like 27 bases. And there are some similarities there between him and Mason Wynn in terms of that.
If I can add,
yeah.
He played 161 games with an 851 OPS. So
that's crazy. So he's like Wynn in that way, playing every day.
He played every single day at a high level, which makes it that much more impressive. I'm sorry. I wanted to have mentioned that part. I think that's a really big part of his story.
And they're very similar in some ways. Now, again, Perdomo's a bigger guy. He's probably 6'2". Wynn's 5'10", something along those lines. But there are some similarities there when it comes to strong defense, strong arm. Wynn's got a stronger arm. Wynn is a better runner. And then when you look at a thing like, for example, bat speed, there's not a big difference. In fact, Wynn has significantly better bat speed than Perdomo. Perdomo ranked in the bottom 7% in bat speed last year, but yet somehow put up some crazy numbers. And it's because of this. It's because he doesn't swing and miss. It's because he also walks. He never strikes out. He doesn't swing and miss, and he walks. And that gives him a lot of opportunities with balls in play. And I don't think it's that crazy to think that that's a path that Mason Wynn can follow as he gets more experience.
I don't either. And I'm not trying to like poo-poo the whole thought here. Where I struggle, Kevin, is I can't truly evaluate Mason Wynn off the overall numbers he had last season. I mean, if you
because
go
of the knee.
Yeah. You go month by month by him real quick. Just give me a second here.
Mm-hmm.
In April, he hit 322 with a 922 OPS. Obviously, that's fantastic. May, 289, 801 OPS. That's great too.
Yeah.
In June, went down to 243, 612 OPS. Not great. But in July, it jumps back to 292 and 697. And then it was after that where he just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
200 average with a 559 OPS in August. And in his limited September, 190 average, 482 OPS. So the point that I'm trying to make is, of the 6 months last year, 4 of them, he was an above average hitter in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
His overall numbers cratered because of a small sample size, but the numbers were so terrible, they just sunk everything down. So when we're talking about Mason Wynn as an offensive player, I don't know who he is, but I refute the idea of using his overall numbers from last year as a way to evaluate him.
And this is kind of the point that I want to get to is he's got more in the tank, and he was actually better the year before, but he was healthy. Or healthier, right? He had lower back problems, but they weren't as big of a deal as that knee problem ended up being. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring this up, because I think that there's a really good, because we're going, I think one of our biggest tasks, Matt, as guys that are trying to figure out what this team can be, is going to be figuring out where offensive improvement's going to come from. And, we're not going to predict it. That's not what I mean, but you have to look at every guy and where can the improvement come from? Where can it come from Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker, that kind of thing. And then with Mason Wynn, because there are players that have had similar starts to their careers who wind up being really good hitters. That's kind of the encouraging part. And he's got the other things. He's got the athleticism. He's got the strength. He's got the intensity. He's a hard worker. He's a guy that really cares about being good. And what I think we have with Mason Wynn is we have established his floor now. His floor is Gold Glove defender and roughly league average hitter. That's the floor.
Okay.
Now what we don't know is what is his ceiling. Is this going to end up being the ceiling? I don't think so, but it could be. And that's fine if it is, because anytime you're that kind of defender who's even adequate offensively, it's fine. But I think it's important to note there may be some upside there based on some of the same characteristics that other guys display. And then like your dream comp, Matt, this is the dream comp. And this is a guy that I think it's all about the arm strength and the speed and the defensive skill for me, because I don't think that Mason Wynn's going to be the kind of hitter that Barry Larkin was, but he's that kind of player. Similar size, similar athleticism, cannon for an arm. And Barry Larkin also started off not great in his first couple of major league seasons, and then immediately was like all-star right after that. And I'll be curious with Wynn, Matt, does he have a breakout season, whether it's now or next year or whatever, or does it just gradually build? Because Perdomo had a breakout year. That wasn't a buildup. He just exploded. And it was kind of the same thing with Larkin. He got to year 3, and all of a sudden, he just figured it out.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this then. If we take I went by that month by month. So if we eliminate those 2 bad months, if we eliminate the month of June and we eliminate the month of August and we take the 4 other months and accumulate those numbers, which would be really, really good. If that's what he equals this year, would you consider that a breakout year? Because I don't think I would. I think that that was the path he was already on before injuries.
Breakout year would be more like what Perdomo did because it was completely a character breaker, Like it was, all right, you were a bad hitter and now you're an all-star hitter, right? That's a breakout. But I think that it would still be good if Wynn does what you said. It'd be a fascinating guy to track this year.
Yeah, I'll run the numbers at some point where I just eliminate those 2 months and see what they are. I think it'd be really, really good.
All right, we're going to talk a bit about this. We got new odds for the playoffs from Fangraphs, and we'll get into that coming up after the news here on KMOX.
At 5:30, it's a cloudy sky, 63 degrees downtown at the Arch. The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Researchers at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis have developed a method to predict when someone is likely to develop symptoms of Alzheimer's disease using a single blood test.
The researchers, including Dr. Suzanne Schindler, found that their models predicted the onset of Alzheimer's symptoms with a margin of 3 to 4 years.
These blood tests are very sensitive to early Alzheimer's disease changes in the brain, and we can use them to predict who will develop symptoms and when.
These findings could lead to the development of treatments for Alzheimer's disease, which affects more than 7 million Americans. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
When fans return to Energizer Park this Saturday for the home opener against Charlotte, they'll find more than just a new starting lineup. The club is introducing Hellcat Happy Hour and 4 new local food partners, including Taco Buddha and Motortown Pizza. President Diego Gigliani says the goal is to make every year feel distinct.
And we want every season to feel fresh and new. So we have exciting things planned for match day and match day, routines and pre-match activities and food partners. And we're here in this pop-up store in the Foundry where we have our new kit.
After missing the playoffs last year, the club underwent a total overhaul, bringing in Corey Ray as sporting director and Johan DeMay as head coach. Gigliani says getting the right people in the right sequence was a top priority.
It's kind of unique to have to go through a sporting director change, a new head coach. Players, every season we'll have new players, so that's more normal. But to have that level of change and sporting leadership and to be able to do that in the right order, really waiting to get the sporting director hire first, to then get the head coach to come.
The new look St. Louis faces Charlotte FC at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday. Pressure may be back on Illinois lawmakers as their counterparts in Indiana are moving ahead with plans to bring the Chicago Bears to Hammond. Nancy Hardy reports a committee in Indianapolis approved a bill this morning creating a stadium authority.
Indiana House Speaker Todd Houston told committee members the stadium authority would issue bonds to construct and lease a Bears stadium near Wolf Lake.
This is not about taking anything away from Illinois or Chicago. We're partners in the fact that, we need a strong Illinois, we need a strong Chicago, particularly in this region. But this is about opportunity.
Mayor Thomas McDermott Jr. says that opportunity is once in a generation.
Hammond's ready to partner with the Chicago Bears. Basically, Hammond will do whatever it takes to help make this project a success.
Speaker Houston says the Bears have agreed to pay $2 billion toward construction. The team says in a statement it's committed to finishing reviews of the site in Hammond, and passing the bill is the most meaningful step forward in its stadium planning so far.
UFL co-owner Mike Rapole is drawing a bold comparison between the St. Louis Battlehawks and the NFL's most famous franchise.
I guess if the Dallas Cowboys are America's team, in the NFL, I guess the St. Louis Battlehawks would be America's team to the UFL.
As the league hopes for expansion, Rapole says the Battlehawks have already secured their place as the centerpiece of the league. The St. Louis football teams consistently shattered spring football attendance records. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, for tonight, some clouds, low 38 degrees. For Friday, we've got sunshine, high 49, right at about freezing tomorrow night. And for Saturday, some sprinkles, maybe some flurries, and a high of 43. Right now, 63 downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it. by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
Are you turning 65 or new to Medicare? Humana knows not everyone has the same needs when picking a Medicare Advantage plan.
Now that I'm retired, I want to enjoy the life I've worked hard to build. So I want a plan that covers me when I'm traveling the country.
Humana has a plan for that.
As a veteran, I want a plan that fills in the gaps my VA coverage doesn't provide, like dental care.
Humana has a plan for that.
I feel good about my health. I just want care and coverage with predictable costs. No surprises.
Humana has a plan for that. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you get coverage and benefits that focus on what matters most to you. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
How many of you think taxes will go up in the future? And if they do, who will get hit the hardest? Maybe it's you, headed for retirement. You've been saving in that 401k or IRA, and that money has never been taxed. And Uncle Sam is looking at that account like it's a big, juicy steak. What can you do about it? Join the All Financial Group for their Taxes in Retirement Seminar, Thursday, February 19th or Tuesday, February 24th. They believe a financial plan is not a retirement plan without a tax plan. Fund your retirement, not Uncle Sam's. Reserve your spot today by calling 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
Want to hear a shocking statistic? Medical malpractice is the 3rd leading cause of death in America. Don't believe it? Google it. And that doesn't count serious injuries like birth injuries to perfectly healthy children. All doctors wear white jackets, but it doesn't make them all the same. Most medical errors are committed by the same quacks over and over again. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Many hospitals looking for more profits are forcing doctors and their groups to be employees of the hospital or be forced out of their system. It's a troubling trend in medicine. People make mistakes, but medical mistakes are huge and often forever. If you believe your child suffered a birth injury or a misdiagnosis or mistake led to a loved one's death or injury, let our team of medical malpractice lawyers examine your case for free. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
In stock, on the lot, and ready to move. At Seidenstricker Nobe Partners, we have hot deals on select 1 through 4 Series John Deere compact tractors. Get 0% financing for 72 months, plus limited time savings on select compact tractors. Built for hauling, digging, grading, mowing, and anything in between. These deals are hot and they won't last long. Visit snpartners.com. Seidenstricker Nobe, your partner for the land.
Offer valid through 2/28/2026. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Celebrate jazz legend John Coltrane with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra in a special one-night-only event, Coltrane 100 Legacy. Celebrate Coltrane's creative genius through powerful orchestral arrangements of his most groundbreaking works. Curated and arranged by acclaimed composer Carlos Simon, this performance features saxophone icon Joe Lovano in a journey from Coltrane's early classics to his late visionary masterpieces. It's jazz, symphony, and legacy, all in one unforgettable night with your St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. February 28th at 7:30 p.m. at Powell Hall. Tickets at slso.org.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation. which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertisement.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we still got this injury crash on eastbound 70 before you get to 141. The 2 right lanes are still blocked as you come out of St. Charles County. Traffic is jammed east of 94 on eastbound 70. Westbound Gawkers are bogged down on westbound 70 back through the Rock Road. North 270, the right lanes are bogged down midway back down the hill to Dorset. South 270, the ramp lanes are backed up. A jam there, actually, through the Rock Road. Eastbound 270, we had that earlier crash at Riverview. They cleared it, but we're still backed up from Old Halls Ferry all the way in through Lilac, bumper to bumper. There may be another problem there. We'll try to check on it because that jam should have returned to normal by now. Westbound 64, Kings Highway out through McCausland is still heavy. Eastbound 64 through the 170 Big Bend area is still heavy. Southbound 55 a little busy at Bates. And, of course, the roadwork jam downtown. Eastbound 64, Route 3 over to 15th Street. 70 backed up at Packers Avenue, and 64 is still slow midway up the hill from 157 to 159. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Now, back to the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
All right, it's Thursday on Redbird Rush Hour. Matt Pauley down in Jupiter. Kevin Wheeler with you here in St. Louis. In a couple of minutes here, we're going to get to the latest playoff projections from Fangraphs. So they have their latest playoff odds published today. We'll get to that in just a second. But, Matt, you wanted to add something. You know, we've been talking about Riley O'Brien and the slow start to the camp because of the calf thing, and obviously his status with the WBC has been in question.
Yeah, and Brian sent in a message about this. So late last night on social media, there started to be some reports coming out that he had been replaced on the Korea roster. We asked Oliver Marmol in our media session today with him if there was any update on O'Brien, and he said still no update. So I think those reports that were coming out internationally are correct, and O'Brien has likely been replaced on the Team Korea roster. But at this point, it has not been confirmed from a domestic standpoint here in Jupiter.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, it is being reported by like the Twitter tweet that I saw it from was from the Doosan Bears, one of the teams in the Korean Professional Baseball League, because it was one of their players, Kim Tak-young, who was added to the roster. It does not say there, at least here, hold on, I'm going to make sure I'm reading this. It does not say
their tweet
at the
does
expense.
not say anything.
Yeah, it doesn't say that Riley O'Brien's coming off, just saying that this other player is on. So I'm not sure if that's the plan, but it does make sense because they're going to have to make a decision pretty soon on their roster, make sure that they're ready to go because the WBC games start pretty soon.
Yeah, and there are some other reporters from that part of the world that have said that it is Riley O'Brien's spot that player is taking. I'm not familiar with the journalist in that part of the world, so I don't know how credible they are.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, though. I mean, I think even if it's not quote-unquote official, it's the most likely outcome.
Right. Well, they were, and I've said this a million times, they were already concerned about the idea of him throwing high-leverage innings when he's not this early on in the year where he's not fully ramped up. The moment whatever ramp-up he was going to do got put on hold, it's borderline reckless to let him go do that.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's take a look at these Fangraphs playoff odds, Matt, and we'll start with the Cardinals, and then we'll just kind of work around with some of the other interesting things that are in there, primarily on the National League side, because I think the American League side, first of all, you know, most of our listeners aren't following the American League, but also I think it's pretty much straightforward. The American League playoff odds look exactly like you would expect them to. But if you look at the National League, some of it does look exactly like you expect. And I know that, you know, we all expect this to be a rough year for the Cardinals. It has the Cardinals with the 12th best playoff odds. So really only ahead of the Marlins, the Nationals and the Rockies. And I think it's about right. Actually, I think the Marlins might be better than the Cardinals. And they certainly have more high-end pitching than the Cardinals do. With a Yuri Perez and Alcantara and a couple of other young players that they've got in the rotation there. But they have other questions. They're probably similar teams come the end of the year. Makes sense to you? 12th best projection out of the National League teams and 8.2% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I have zero pushback on that.
No,
one.
I don't either. I think it's like, okay. I mean, I'm the one that said a little while back, like, don't be surprised if it's 5th place. Because it's probably going to be that. And I don't think we've had a couple people like, they're going to be the Rockies. They're not that bad. The Rockies are brutal. They're better than that, but they're going to lose a lot more than they win. I mean, they're probably going to lose 85 games, 90 games. I mean, they're going to be in that range somewhere. If it's much more than that, I'd be surprised.
I'm a little more optimistic about them than you are. I think they're a 75, 76, 77 win team. So that's not a ton more losses than wins, but it's still below 500 and it's still not a playoff team.
And if I had to pick them, I would say my range would be like 72 to 75. It's kind of what I think. Some of the numbers in Vegas are lower than that. So if that informs your guys' opinion at all, just always be careful of betting with your heart. Never a good idea. But again, I think Bernie said this Monday, and I agree with him completely. He might have said it on DGS, Matt, and not on here. But either way, I totally agree with him. I don't care what the record is this year. I want to see progress from players, right? We want to see improvements from individual players. And I want to see some new players. I want to see some more kids break through, things along those lines. I want to see different. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see the same movie replayed from the last couple of years with how you handle injuries, how you handle the roster, that kind of stuff. Let's show some change. Let's see some new things, and let's see some improvement from individual players.
I don't care what their record is within reason. If they are a 60-win team, then I care about their record. Like, as long as they avoid just being one of the worst, as long as they avoid being the Rockies. I think that, to go back to what you were talking about.
That's fair.
But that's the only point that I'll really care that much about what the record is.
Yeah, and even there, I mean, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch 100 losses. But even then, all right, whatever. You're just going to have a much higher draft pick.
Maybe
you might be the number one. If you were, put it this way, I'd take the number one pick in the draft. I wouldn't mind adding Rock Chalosky to this team, a power hitting infielder who's going to be likely be the number one pick. Please, I'll take that all day.
To think how much bonus pool money they would have.
I know,
because they already have so many draft picks.
I don't want it. I really don't want that. But if that's the result, I'm fine with that. You might get another franchise player out of that.
Perhaps. I think they'll be respectable this year.
I do too. Ultimately, I would say in the 70s is what I expect. Like I said, 72, 75. I could see 78 or more or something like that, but it would take some good things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're in the same neighborhood. I am a half step more optimistic than you are.
All right. Yeah, there you go. That's probably right. I'm not down on it. Yeah. I can see the upside, and I can also see where if you have a couple injuries, boy, it could get bad real quick.
Yeah, I mentioned this today. All of a sudden, if they run 6 starters out to begin the season, which I think they're going to, well, Hunter Dobbins is likely to not start the season. We're talking about them already pushing all the way through their depth. They don't actually, at that moment, they don't have quite as much starting pitching depth as we were speaking about them. And if you have one more injury here in spring from a starting pitcher, then all of a sudden that starts to get a little dicey.
Yeah, in all fairness, though, a month and a half into the season, if you're a month into the season, you need more. I'd be comfortable with guys like Henderson and Matthews being added to that. I mean, or maybe Bryson Motts. I mean, you've got some guys that are close. Last year, those guys were a full level behind where they are now.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're all basically AAA now, right? I mean, I wouldn't imagine they'll be anywhere but Memphis. You got all those guys in Memphis. I think you got a little more, but you're right. Of the proven guys that have seen big league time, you would definitely already be on your depth piece there for sure.
You are. Shameless plug, Bryson Motts is going to be on Countdown to Opening Day tonight.
All right, we'll get a little more on that, and we'll talk about a couple other interesting notes from those playoff odds coming up next on Redbird Rush Hour.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Chuck McDowell here again. Over the years, I've seen way too many timeshare exit companies pop up, take folks' money, and disappear. I just saw an ad from an exit company started by a couple of bozos that used to work for me. My advice, don't hire bozos I'll fire. Want out of your timeshare? I'll send you our free timeshare exit info kit explaining your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free kit. 800-329-3737. That's 800-329-3737.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we still got our crash blocking the right lanes eastbound 70 before you get to 141 or City. Traffic still jammed between 94 and 5th Street up to it. Westbound 70 not as bad. Still backed up coming off the 270 ramps through the area. Southbound the ramp lanes are still backed up at the Rock Road. Eastbound 270 continues to improve. Just a brief backup now. Both sides of 367, and then it's just slow through Riverview. That's where we had the earlier crash. It was really messing things up for quite a while earlier this evening. Westbound 64, Kings Highway headed out through McCausland slow. Eastbound 64, brief delay from 170 through Hanley. South 170 south of Brentwood is slow. 55, a little bit busy at Gasconade or Bates, really. It's not that bad. And eastbound 64, better, but there's still a jam east of Route 3 over to 15th Street. 70 still slow at Packers Avenue. And 64, 157, midway to 159 is still slow through that work zone. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Call 877-WINDOWS. That's 877-WINDOWS. Or head to rbastl.com.
Zach Bryan with Heaven on Tour.
Poison myself against something in the orange tells me you'll never
Saturday, March 7th, the Dome at America's Center.
Wish I didn't, but I do.
With special guests, Camp and J.R. Carroll. Tickets are on sale now at ZachBryan.com.
I think I heard you coming.
Don't miss Zach Bryan live.
Now, back to the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
All right, Thursday on Redbird Rush Hour, we're getting ready to wrap it up. We've got the Countdown to Opening Day show coming up after 6 o'clock, Matt. So you said Bryson Motts is on there. What else? What do we got going on tonight?
Ozzie Smith is going to be on the program today.
Just the Wizard?
Yeah, just the Wizard.
All right.
Rob Serfolio, Packy Naughton. So, yeah, good number of folks going to be on the show tonight.
Awesome. My favorite shows doing the Countdown to Opening Day were always the ones when I was in Jupiter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can
Just
get
got
a lot
access
of people.
and everybody's around and there's a lot of buzz and it's fun. So good. Looking forward to the show tonight. All right. A couple other interesting things from the Fangraphs playoff odds, because we already talked about the Cardinals, 12th in the National League, 8.2% playoff odds. They have Pittsburgh 6th.
Yeah.
And a 43% chance of making the playoffs. And look, I think they're better. I think they've gotten a good bit better with what they did this offseason. I think that's a lot. I think that is a massive jump. They have Pittsburgh ahead of Milwaukee and only behind the Dodgers, Braves, Mets, Phillies, and Cubs.
Here's what's weird, and I know different people and different individuals use different projections, and these projections are different than like Zips, which is also a Fangraphs tool. But the Zips projections on win total had the Pirates as the last place team in the NL Central and the Cardinals as the 4th place team. So another Fangraphs projection has, if you're ranking by playoff probability, the Pirates are the 2nd place team in the NL Central, where the Cardinals are the last place team. I think the bottom line on this is projections are just that. They're projections.
Yes.
And one person's projection can be very different, because if you take the Zips projection and apply that to like playoff odds, it would look completely different than this one.
So in the National League, the Dodgers, of course, are the tops. They're 99% chance of the playoffs, according to Fangraphs. The next one was surprising to me, too, with the Braves, just because they have so many questions about their starting pitching with injuries. They got a lot of dudes that are hurt. And Schwellenbach's down right now. That's a high percentage, 84%, which is not only second best in the National League, but second best in baseball.
Yeah, they're looking for more starting pitching because Schwellenbach went down, Waldrop went down.
I'm surprised they haven't signed a Giolito or somebody like that.
Yeah, I am too. And maybe they're just waiting. But when you wait like that, Kevin, it's dicey because we all know
my God,
that
these
when
guys
you bring
coming in late.
It's a 50-50 proposition on if they're going to be able to find it.
Yeah, absolutely. How about on the American League side? We only got a minute and a half, but I found this interesting. So Seattle has the top playoff odds. Not shocking, but not Toronto, who was in the World Series, Seattle, and then Detroit is second. And I know why. There's a good explanation for it, and I'm sure you know what that is too. It's because those teams play in weaker divisions. Because they have the Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Orioles, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's a really tough division.
It is. So 4 of the 5 teams in the AL East have a playoff percentage of better than 50%.
Yeah.
4 of the 5 teams in the AL West have a playoff percentage below 35%.
Yeah.
So they love the AL East. They hate the AL West.
I think they're a little bit low on the White Sox. They have the White Sox with the worst chances in the American League. I think they're better than the Angels by a good bit.
Okay.
You know who I'm curious about? We don't have time, but I'm really interested in the A's this year.
I am too.
They can really hit, man.
Yeah. But that's one of those things where their roster may not equal what they do because they're going to continue to play in a minor league ballpark.
Yeah.
And
well, their numbers will be
morale is
inflated
gonna
and their pitching is going to be rough. But I just think they're an interesting team. All right, buddy. Have yourself a fine evening. Looking forward to the Countdown to Opening Day show. That's coming up after 6 o'clock. And then, of course, tomorrow night, you'll be off on this show. And we'll have Bernie and I talking ball. So have a good weekend since we won't talk on the air until next week.
All right, sounds good. I've got all of Gas House Gang, though, so people can still hear me tomorrow during
That's right. You get the Gas House Gang and obviously all the Sports Open Line, although no Sports Open Line tomorrow night because of Billikens basketball. Yep. All right, buddy. Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon. That's Matt Pauley and Jupiter. I'm Kevin Wheeler, and that's Redbird Rush Hour here on KMOX.
Hey, Happy New Year, big boy.